Hey, today I'm gonna review Danganronpa. So Danganronpa is a visual novel. It was originally released for the PSP in 2010, and it was developed by Spike Chunsoft. So basically, the overview of this game. So it's about, there's a group of 15 high school age students, and basically they all got accepted into this high school. It's kind of like a prestige high school. Basically, only like the best people can come here. Like you kind of have to have a special skill to get accepted into the school. So 15 of these students got accepted. They got accepted into the school, which basically promises them. It basically guarantees them like a really successful future if they get in. So they go to this high school, right? But what they don't realize is they're not getting out. This high school is not a normal school. Basically when they go in, they're kidnapped by this teddy bear, and this teddy bear is known as Monokuma. So Monokuma is a pretty interesting character. He's basically Monokuma is forcing these students to kill each other. So he kind of has like a weird rule. He's like, if you want to get out of this high school, you have to kill someone and then get away with it in trial. So basically, you have to kill somebody, and then no one has to find it. Nobody can find out that it was you. So if you go on trial and no one can figure out it was you, then you get to leave, and then everyone else gets killed. But if you get found out, then you die, and then everyone else gets to live. So basically, what the game is about is there's all these murders that happen, and then you have to do these trials to figure out who did it. So basically, a lot of the game is talking to characters, like looking for clues. You do investigations to kind of see you'll find like a dead body, for example, and then you have to kind of search the room, and you have to figure out like how this person died, or like what time did they die, like how did they die, and then it's just like you have to talk to the other students and be like, what were you doing? Like you kind of have to see if people have an alibi, which basically is like an excuse. So if you have to you have to talk to all these characters, you have to look for all these clues, and then at the end you do one of the class trials. So there's 5 class trials in the game in total, because the game is kind of split into chapters. So in total there's about 5 chapters. And at the end of each chapter, there's always a trial you have to do. And I'll talk more about these trials in a second. But yeah, so a lot of the gameplay is just like talking to people. So there's basically a 3D. It's kind of a first-person hub world. So you actually get to walk around the school, and there's certain points where it'll say there's a free time. And basically, during the free time, what you do is you can explore, and you can do a few things. You get to hang out with certain people. So if you like a certain character, or you're just curious about them, you can talk to them, and then they'll be like, "Hey, do you want to hang out?" And then you can say yes, or you can just say no. So if you hang out with someone, you'll find out more about them. Like you'll kind of get to know them. They'll talk more about their life. And at the end of hanging out, it'll ask like, do you want to give this person a present? And then there's a yes or no. So basically, what that means. So throughout the school, you'll find I think they're called Monokuma coins. Basically, you get these coins. Just from clicking on stuff. Like sometimes you'll click on something and you'll get a Monokuma coin, and what that does is there's a room where there's like a slot machine. There's not a slot machine. It's like one of those toy dispenser machines, and basically if you put the coins in that, you'll get different items. You'll get like food, for example, or just random items. And you can get, if you give them to the characters at the end of when you're hanging out, you'll basically level up how much they like you. And if they like you all the way, then you'll get certain cheats, kind of. So for each character, if you get them to like you all the way, yeah, they'll give you different cheats for the class trials. So for example, I think one of the cheats, it just gives you more time to react, or what? Yeah, it's hard to explain. It's like perks, kind of. There's different perks or cheats you get if you give the characters enough presents, or etc. And yeah, you get to hang out with them. You find out more about them. There's not time. I don't think there's enough time in the game to find out about every character. But it's not really a spoiler. But after you finish the game, there's actually like a free mode, kind of. There's like a free school mode where you get to go back, and then you can hang out. You have time to hang out with all the characters you want. But during your first playthrough, you have to be selective. You kind of have to choose, you have to choose, not carefully, but you have to choose who you want to hang out with, because, keep in mind, you won't have time to hang out with everyone during your first playthrough. Alright, so the last part of the game I wanted to talk about were the class trials. So I touched upon it earlier, but basically at the end of each chapter, you have to do one of these trials. Basically, it's to find out who the murderer is. So all the students, they kind of sit in a circle, like a round table, and they try to figure out like who killed the victim. So what you do is they'll say, oh, I think the murderer is this person because of this, this, and this. And then you have your, it's called an evidence bullet. You have your pieces of evidence, and you can disprove people. Like, someone could say, like, oh, this person was stabbed to death. And then you can read through your evidence, and then you find proof that, no, this person died this other way. And then you kind of counteract the other person. You basically counteract the other people's evidence with your own evidence to figure out who the killer actually is once and for all. And these trials are really, really fun. They can go on for a while. I think maybe the first one or two ones are kind of short. But later on in the game, they get more complicated, and they can go on for like a good hour. Like, they'll go on for a while. And it's kind of, I guess it's the whole point. The whole point of the game is to do these trials and to figure out who the killer is in each chapter. Because, each chapter there's a different killer. And then there's new clues, and then there's new pieces of evidence. So once you find your evidence, you have an evidence book in the options menu, and then you can read through it at any time. If you forgot what happens, you can always just click like the start button and read through all the evidence you found. Try to put all the pieces together to figure out what's going on. So once you figure out who the killer is, Monokuma, the bear himself, basically executes the killer. Yeah, so if you're found out that you're the killer, he kills you in some really insane way. For a spoiler alert, the first killer his name is Leon, and he's a professional baseball player. So Monokuma actually kills him by throwing a bunch of baseballs at his body until he died. So yeah, he kind of comes up with creative ways to kill you. So if you kill someone, if you're one of these characters in the game, yeah, you definitely don't want to get caught. Because Monokuma definitely has something weird plans to end your life. So I'm just warning you, from here on out, I'm going to be talking about spoilers. So if you don't want to be spoiled at all, just stop watching the video. Because, yeah, this is the spoiler section slash character section. I'm going to be talking about all the characters, and I'm going to be talking more about the story. So yeah, if you don't want to hear anything, just stop watching the video. But yeah, you've been warned. So there's a pretty good variety of characters in the game. So I'm going to go through all of them. So the main character is Makoto. So he, as far as he knows, he doesn't have any special talents. He's kind of your everyday person. He likes, the music he likes is whatever's popular. The movies he likes is whatever's popular. He's kind of just like your average person. So yeah, the main character, he's cool, but he doesn't really, he's supposed to be relatable. Like, there's nothing really special about him. And then we have Sayaka, and she is the ultimate pop sensation. She's basically a really famous singer, and she stars in a band. And she actually went to the same school as Makoto. So yeah, Makoto is Sayaka, she's the only person that the main character actually knows out of all these people. So yeah, out of all these random people, she's the only person that Makoto even knows. So that's why she's kind of interesting. So basically, during the game, she kind of takes that to her advantage. She kind of manipulates Makoto because she thinks Makoto will trust everything she says just because they know each other. And you'll see what I'm talking about. I'm not going to completely spoil the game, but yeah, she uses that to her advantage. Like, she's like, oh, this guy will trust me just because we knew each other. So yeah, that's basically what that's about. And then we have Toko Fukawa. So she is the ultimate writing prodigy. Basically, she's a writer, so that's her special talent, and that's the reason why she was picked for the school. But she is a pretty interesting character, because not only is she good at writing, she's also good at murdering people. Yeah, she is... she's basically a serial killer. Yeah, I'm not even kidding. Yeah, she's a serial killer known as Genocide Jack. So, yeah, even before she went to this weird school, she actually killed tons of people. And she does it in interesting ways. So, yeah, she has like a split personality. Like, sometimes she just acts like a shy, she acts like a shy, insecure girl. And then she'll just like go from that to just acting completely psychotic. Like, she'll just like start talking completely crazy. It's like she has two people inside of her brain. Like, it's really weird. She's a really cool character, but she's really funny, but she's definitely kind of crazy. And I don't know, she's definitely someone to be scared of. Yeah, she's one of the scariest characters in the game, like, honestly. But she's cool though. And then we have Aoi. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing that right. She's the ultimate swimming pro. So yeah, her talent is that I guess she's just really good at swimming. She's kind of like the fitness girl. Like, she eats healthy, she likes exercising. That's basically her whole identity. She's just like the healthy girl. She's kind of like, her personality is like, she's nice. She tries to be helpful, she tries to trust others. So she's a pretty good character. There's nothing too crazy about her. Most of the game, I kind of expected her to like turn out to be like crazy or something. But as the game progressed, like, she never showed any red flags really. So she was a pretty decent character most of the game. She's pretty consistent. She kind of always acted the same. There's never anything really. She's kind of like one of the only people in the game that I kind of felt like I can trust, just because she never did anything that weird. So yeah, she's a pretty good character. And then we have Byakuya Tagami. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. I'm not good at reading these names. I think his name is Byakuya. So he's the ultimate affluent progeny. So basically, he comes from some really rich family, and he takes a lot of pride in his family name. He's just like, oh, like, I'm better than you. Like, he's kind of like that person. He thinks he's better than everyone. He thinks his family name, he holds his family name up to some really, really high standard. Like, he has really high standards. He doesn't take crap from people. He doesn't care about other people's opinions, because to him, he's always right. And he thinks he's always right, and everyone else is stupid, and he's better than everyone. That's kind of how he is. But he's not a bad... Throughout the game, he's not really a bad person. Like, he actually tries to, he doesn't really try to help people, but he goes for the more logical solutions rather than emotional solutions. Like, he's like, okay, like, basically the way he thinks is like, okay, if we're here in this crappy situation, like, I'm not gonna get upset about it, I'm just gonna figure out, like what we should be doing. So, he's honestly a pretty smart character, but he's also a little bit, egotistical. Like, he has a really big ego, but he's also pretty smart at the same time. And yeah, I think he's one of the more interesting characters. I found myself wanting to talk to him a lot, just because I felt like he knew what he was doing. He just didn't really he didn't want to give away he didn't want to help other people, but he kind of knew what he was doing. So yeah, he's a good character. And then we have Celestia Ludenberg. So she's the ultimate gambler. So yeah, I guess she's just like really good at gambling, which we never really get to see in the game, but she's pretty interesting. She gives off a mysterious vibe. Like, I never knew if I should trust her or not. She seems, I don't know, I always felt scared of her. Like, I wanted to trust her, but like, I always felt like something was kind of off. But yeah, she's a pretty interesting character. I don't know, she's not completely untrustable, but sometimes she's a little bit fishy. But yeah, I like her. She's pretty cool. One thing I really like about her is like some of her dialogue. I think some of her dialogue is really funny, especially when she's like, "Do you understand?" Every time she is like, "Do you understand? Do you understand?" Like, every time she said that, like, I thought it was so funny. And her hair is pretty weird. Like, she is like gigantic. She has like a gigantic amount of hair. Like, I'm not dissing it, but I don't know. She's an interesting character. And then we have Chiro. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but basically, she's the ultimate programmer. So, from what I remember, her dad was a programmer as well, which is why she is also a programmer. But what's interesting about her is that she's actually a guy, but she pretends to be a girl because she looks like a girl and sounds like a girl. So yeah, like, when you first start playing the game, like, you'll literally think it's a girl, and then you find out later that it's actually a guy, and it's just like, okay. Like, I thought it was kind of random, because, I mean, yeah, I didn't see it coming. I saw no clues, unless I missed something, that a character was a guy. But yeah, that's what's interesting about Shiro. And then we have Junko. So what's interesting? So Junko is or Junko. I'm not sure if it's Junko or Junko, But either way, she's the ultimate basically, she's the ultimate fashionista. So, I guess her whole thing is that she's like she's kind of a designer, basically. So yeah. So I'm gonna get into some serious spoiler territory. So so basically Junko, spoiler alert, Junko is actually the person that's in charge of Monokuma, which is the teddy bear that kidnapped them all. So yes, Junko is actually the mastermind, but the Junko that you see in the game, like at the beginning, that's actually Junko's sister, her twin sister, pretending to just be a regular student. So yeah, the mastermind herself put her sister. Her sister's name is Mukuro, but she called her Junko. It's kind of confusing. Basically, the Junko you see in the game is really the mastermind's twin sister, and basically she dies because her own sister killed her. Yeah, it's kind of a mouthful. So yeah, I can't even explain it. Yeah, so Junko's twin sister got killed by Junko herself in the game. Yeah, I mean, if she's willing to kill her own sister, that kind of shows you how fucked up this lady is, or this girl. Like, she's out of her fucking mind. Well, let me tell you. And then, let me get back to some of these characters. We have Kiyotaka. He's the ultimate moral compass. Basically, he's basically the definition of a goody two-shoes. Like, I mean, the guy's kind of funny, but yeah, he's kind of like, what are you doing here late? Like, he's like, you should have been here. He's kind of just like a goody two-shoes. He just wants to follow all the rules, kind of like a puppy. That's the best way I can explain him. And then, one of the best characters in the game, probably, is Kyoko. Kyoko is basically, from what I understand, yeah, so Kyoko, from what I understand, she was a trained detective as a child, but due to the memory loss in the game, she doesn't remember. So throughout the game, you'll notice that whenever you're doing investigations, she's one of the most helpful characters, because she's actually a detective. She just doesn't remember. And what's interesting about her character is that I think her dad worked for the school, but she had daddy issues. She didn't care about her dad, didn't care about her, etc. I think she just wanted to get closer to her dad, but for whatever reason, she just distanced herself. She's a very reserved person. Throughout the game, she doesn't really talk unless she has to, and she doesn't say anything unless she's saying something important. Like, if she's saying something, you should probably listen to her, because yeah, she doesn't just ramble. Most of the stuff she says is actually pretty interesting. So yeah, she's also one of the most important characters in the plot. Towards the end of the game, there's actually a part where she basically saves you if you get executed by Monokuma. And yeah, she's one of the very few characters that actually make it out of the school alive at the end of the game, which is why she's important and very helpful. We have Leon Kubata. So Leon is the ultimate baseball star. Honestly, there's not that much to say about him. He's one of the first. I think he is the first character to get executed by Monokuma, and honestly, there's not much to him. He's kind of just like a regular guy. Yeah, like to put it into words, he's basically just like a regular guy. There's nothing bad. Honestly, he's one of the least interesting characters in the game, in my opinion. Like, he's alright, but yeah, you won't really spend that much time with him because, like I said, he dies pretty fast anyway. So, yeah. Then we have Mondo, who's the ultimate biker gang leader. Kind of similar to Leon, I don't think the character is that interesting. The only memorable thing that happened with him is there was this one funny part with Kiyotaka where they were kind of trying to prove like who's like the manliest. Like they were staying in a hot sauna and they were kind of competing like who can stay here the longest without burning to death or going crazy. That was the only thing. He was an alright character, but he's just one of those people that there's not that much to say about him. He's kind of like he's kind of hot-headed. So near the beginning, he actually tried to attack Monokuma. He grabbed the stuffed animal and threw it, and then the stuffed animal exploded. So yeah, he was brave. He's a brave person. He was kind of willing to fight, but I think after a while, like he realized how serious the situation was, so he kind of toned it down a bit, like cause I don't know, he didn't want to die. Like he's brave, but I think he was just like, oh shit, this is really serious. After a while.
Yes, I think you're right. Then you just have to figure out what happened during the fight.
And the next character is Hifumi, or Haifumi. Basically, he's the ultimate fanfic creator. He's pretty funny. He's kind of, if you're like a nerd, he's probably one of the most relatable characters. He's kind of like a fat guy that everything he says like has to do with like fan fiction or like the internet or like he's kind of like one of those stereotypical like nerds that live in their basement, but I don't know, he's a pretty good character, but there's not all that much to say about him, or at least as far as I know. And then we have Sakura. She's the ultimate martial artist. So what's interesting about her is she has a really masculine body. Like, she basically looks like a man with, like, long hair. But the main thing that happened with her is, I think she got found out to be one of the spies. So basically, she actually works for Monokuma, which was later revealed. But it was one of those situational things where she was kind of forced to. And then once people found out she was a traitor, everyone kind of hated her, even though she was forced into it. And she ended up committing suicide, and they had to do a trial. They had to do a trial for her, trying to find out who killed her. But yeah, she actually turned out to be a suicide. So yeah, I think she's the only suicide in the whole game. So that's what's kind of interesting about her. But overall, I thought she was a pretty good character. And then we have Yasuhiro. He's the ultimate clairvoyant. Basically, he's kind of one of those like fortune teller people. Like, he has a crystal ball. He probably has tarot cards. He's one of those people. Like, towards the beginning of the game, he was kind of in denial. He was like, oh, this can't, like, he was kind of denying the reality of the situation. He kept hoping it was all a dream or made up. And yeah, I'm pretty sure he said he spent $1 million on the glass ball that he bought. What is it even called? Like the crystal ball. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he spent $1 million on the crystal ball. because he thinks you can see the future with it, which he may or may not be able to. I'm not exactly sure. But yeah, he's a good character. But yeah, I want to talk about the ending for a second. So like I said before, the girl responsible for the whole situation is Junko. So as far as I understand, she has like a whole organization that literally destroyed the world. And I'm not exaggerating. Towards the end of the game, she actually revealed video footage, and she basically wiped out almost everyone on the planet. The people that are still alive are basically like her servants. And the school. So the reason behind the school is they were put there intentionally to spend the rest of their lives there as a way to regain civilization. Like, these are supposed to be the only normal people left on the planet. That was the intention, but clearly Junko got in control of it, and so she actually is keeping everyone on television. So the whole game is basically just like a TV show that she says it's the most popular TV show, and I'm sure it is, because that's the only TV show that's even allowed to be played. So yeah, and she's really weird. Junko has split personalities. Like, she acts crazy, she'll act kind of cute, like she acts weird. And then the reason why she loves killing people is it's kind of weird. She kind of gets off on despair. Like, she loves when people are like filled with despair. Like, she has a despair fetish. That's basically where this whole thing is going. Like, towards the end of the game, she dies, or you think she dies, and she gets really excited. She's like, oh, finally. It's like, she like loves despair. She even killed her sister. Like, she doesn't care if she dies, she doesn't care if anyone dies. To her, it's all just like a big joke. And I don't know, I haven't fully completed the sequels, but she seems like a complete psychopath, if you ask me. I don't really know if there's a reason why she's insane. I haven't looked it up because I'm still playing the second game and the third game, so I don't completely understand it, but as far as I can tell from the first game, she's just some girl that's out of her mind. And she's just like she looks like she's like 18 or something. She's just like a teenage girl. And it's just like, to think that a teenage girl like destroyed the entire planet basically and like killed like millions of people. I mean, that's kind of wild. Like, that's kind of I have no words, honestly. And I don't completely understand the teddy bear thing. I guess it's a robot. I think she controls it with like a remote control. And yeah, I don't know, that kind of explains the teddy bear. It's just like she has like, so yeah, when you play the game, you'll find out that she has like a secret office, kind of. And she has all these security cameras. And I think that's how she can look at everything through her security cameras that are set up through the school. And then she controls that teddy bear to basically scare everyone. So yeah, that's what I got from the story. Also, I wanted to talk about the graphics. So in a game like this, graphics aren't really like the most important thing, but they do look pretty nice. It was originally a PSP game, so it's not the most technically impressive thing ever, but the art style is really nice, and the character models are kind of 2D. They're kind of 2D objects in like a 3D environment. It almost reminds me of Paper Mario, where you're walking around in 3D, but a lot of the objects and stuff are just 2D. It looks really cool. Sometimes you'll open a door and you'll see all the furniture like pop up. It's almost like it's almost like Paper Mario in a way. It's like Paper Mario, but more realistic, of course, instead of just like cartoony colors everywhere. But yeah, the art style looks really good. One thing I really like about the art style is, this might sound weird, I really like the color of the blood. In this game, the blood is like a really bright pink, and I think that's really cool because it makes it kind of stand out. Because obviously, like in most things, blood is just red, but to have the blood be like a bright pink, it's almost like pink paint, like that, it's kind of cool. I don't know why they made it like that. Maybe just to make the game seem less violent. Yeah, even though it's rated mature anyway. But I kind of like the pink blood. I think it's kind of iconic almost. It just looks really cool. But yeah, the game looks good. So the final verdict, I would highly recommend this game. I would probably give it maybe a 9 out of 10. If I had to think of any flaws, I don't really like how you get the coins and stuff, because you kind of have to walk around and just click on random stuff. And I found that to be improved in the sequel. In the sequel, you would find hidden Monokumas, and then that would give you coins, but in this one, you kind of have to just click on everything over and over until you find something. So I find that to be a little bit annoying. But that's basically the only flaw I can think of. Like, as far as visual novels go, this is one of the best that I've played. It's available. It's available on pretty much every console. It's on it's on the Switch, the PS4, it's on Xbox, it's on PC, it's even on iOS, and like the PSP, the PS Vita. I guarantee, if you have a gaming machine, I guarantee it's on it. It's pretty much on everything. And yeah, I highly recommend it. There's also an anime, which I watched, and it's really good also. But if you can play the game, I recommend playing the game over the anime. Just because the game is a lot more in depth, you get to know a lot more about the characters than you do in the anime. But if you don't have much time, there's nothing wrong with watching the anime. I would go for it. But if you have the time to play this, I would definitely play it. Like, I think it's really worth it. And yeah, I recommend playing it.